In this tutorial, a legal website started to slowly lose traffic with the rollout of Google's AI overviews. Watch how Market Brew's ranking blueprint points the SEO team to a shocking discovery. The legal website is being classified as an informational site instead of a commercial one, which has caused much of its content to be missing on AI overviews. The ranking blueprint identifies which pages are contributing to this informational label, and then gives the SEO team the instructions on how to realign those pages to be more commercial in nature.
So one of the things that we're finding with AI overviews is, so if you can rank in AI overviews, you're essentially replacing the lost traffic that you're seeing, Corey, right? So you see that like slow decline over time especially with informational sites. But sites are able to sort of make up for that as long as they're getting back into the AI overviews section. And the reason why a lot of sites are not making it back into the AI overviews section is primarily because of this algorithm. We're talking about embeddings here that drives most of this AI overviews. And we're looking at the way that we're taking content, we're converting it to this array of numbers, which represents these like points in space. So this is like a 3D cutout of this very high dimensional, it's actually over 1,500 dimensions in Market Brew. And what this is doing is we can actually group these points together. And so we're doing this on a site level. That's why it says, like here, it says subdomain. So for Selena Law, what's happening is that we're looking at all the chunks of content. Each of these points here represents like a 700 character sentence or paragraph. And so that paragraph, all these paragraphs, they get grouped together for Selena Law, and we look at the top three groups in terms of closeness in this high dimensional space. So close means they're related together. So it's grabbing all the three related groups of content, and the one that has the most points in that cluster is considered the site's top cluster. So Selena Law, you imagine if we just filled in thousands of these in here for the whole site, it has one section that is dominant, what the search engine thinks Selena Law is about. And we can consider this not a topic cluster, but more like a semantic cloud, right? So it's sort of like a topic cluster on steroids. There's many dimensions. And so what's happening here in a lot of these cases is that the chunk of content that it wants to return, it's basically saying, I want this point right here, this little chunk of this paragraph of content that I found on Selena Law. I really like it. I want to return it to AI overviews. But it's checking one last time before it does that. It says, is this paragraph in the top cluster of Selena Law? And it's saying it's not. It's saying it's in the second embedding cluster. So in other words, what it's trying to do is return all the chat that it does on the AI overview section. And this is also, we're seeing this translate to ChatGPT and Perplexity as well. So it's all the same system, it's all using the same principles. But what it's saying is, I only want to bring back the chunk of content from pages that are about that page, or sites that are about that chunk of content, right? So there's two levels. You can either compare it to the page's top cluster or the site's top cluster. And so sites like Forbes have been getting hammered by this, because Forbes originally, what they were doing is they were trying to take all their backlink structure, all that authoritativeness that they built up, and then they create like a health or a law subfolder and try to outrank Selena Law. And so in come the search engineers with this new tool called embeddings, which is what AI Overviews Visualizer shows us is happening. And we can see, don't trust Forbes. I'd rather trust Selena Law, because Selena Law is a law company and a law site, and Forbes is not a law site. So I can actually see this in my algorithms now. But the problem is that it's getting so precise that the bar has gotten raised so that, in this case, we can see that this chunk of content here is not the top content for the site. And so here, this is the chunk of content that it liked most for the Buffalo car accident lawyer. And so in here, saying that this is part of the site cluster number 2. You can see that in this hover here where it says cluster number 2. And so what this is telling us is that we need to either do one or two things. We need to make this chunk of content match more to the Selena Law top cluster, or we need to, if this is happening a lot, we need to make the Selena Law top cluster of the site match more towards these ones that Google is preferring, right? So there's two different ways to do this, and we've illustrated both the differences and how to align both ways, right? So we can either align the target embedding with the site's top embedding cluster, or we can realign the site's top embedding cluster. There's two ways we can do this. Either one will work. Either one will remove this ambiguity. Most likely, because we know that the target embedding is what Google prefers, we probably want to do this. We probably want to realign Selenium law slightly towards what Google is preferring, whatever that happens to be. And don't think of it in terms of keywords, because there's 1,500 dimensions. So there's all kinds of different things. It's actually, here's the differences that it's pointed out. We've used that same large language model to introspect the site's top chunk of content and the target chunk that Google wanted to return for this search result. And we've compared them and said, what is the difference? And so you can see right here, there's a thematic difference, there's a purpose difference, there's a tone and style difference, and then there's an audience difference. So you can start to understand, like, it's not just keywords here, it's the way we're writing, the style, the theming, the context, all these little things. And so for instance, we'll get into some details here so you understand what I'm saying. It says, the site's top embedding cluster, well, it's focused on regional information about Western New York, including historical details, cultural significance, property taxes, dangerous intersections. It's informational and geographically centered. The target embedding, which is what Google preferred, but it didn't return, is that content centers around legal services provided by Selenium law, with a focus on accident-related legal cases and contact information for various office locations. It's more commercial and service-oriented. We've identified, before we even get into these other three here, we know what Google's got a beef about. It thinks Selenium law is informational, not commercial, which is not right? We know Selenium law is commercial. And so, but in Selenium law's attempt to become a how-to or more informational site, it's now been classified as an informational thing. And that's why you see this slow pull away from their original rankings, because now what's happening is they're getting deranked a little in the regular rankings, like everybody else, because it's being replaced by some of the AI overviews, but they're not participating in the AI overviews because AI overviews says, oh, it's another how-to informational site, and we've got that, right? We don't need to include them in there. But if it was commercial, then it would be like, okay, this is unique, right? We need to include Selenium law because Selenium law has a specific, it's just the way the algorithm thinks. It's like, if you're commercial, then we treat you as something that's unique. So we know Selenium law needs to be included in our AI overview when we talk about this stuff, because it likes to include all the unique things. But if Selenium law is considered a informational site, just like the thousands of other informational sites that I see, then we're not going to include that. We'll just stick to the other commercial sites as part of this.
Are you saying that because Google's viewing the website as informational, that they're actually losing keywords like this? The AI
Yes.
overview doesn't. Oh shit!
And it's not just AI overviews, by the way. So there's the 10 blue links it's driven by partially a group of family of algorithms that define the semantic meaning of a page. And this is also changed as well. So we went from TF-IDF to keywords to entities, and now we're on to embeddings. They all participate in the search results. They're all like a team, right? They each help each other out so that there's no loopholes to exploit. But this is the dominant one that we're seeing here in the last 3 years. And this is also what particularly drives ChatGPT or AI overviews. So it's even more dominant in AI overviews. So not only is it like missing in the AI overviews, but it could also be hurting the overall results slightly in the rankings, in the regular rankings. It's my favorite part because you can kind of see, okay, what is the architectural assumptions that we made that were wrong, right? Because Google's basically tipping its hat to telling you exactly what it wants. But just for illustrative purposes, we would be looking at this section right here. How do we realign the site's top embedding cluster? We have three main things that you can do across the site to slowly pull that semantic cloud of informational, where it's over in the informational bucket, more towards the commercial bucket. We want to add more legal insights. We want to highlight legal services contextually, and we want to enhance call to action elements. So these three things, if we apply that in general across the site, we will slowly push this back into a more commercial site. If you click on the website embedding clusters, right? So right here, And here it's already pre-filled in to do 3 clusters. So it's already done that clustering for you. So it's gonna sort by the result cluster. So everything you see here at the top is in that top cluster. So if you click on any one of these little embedding details, you'll see the paragraphs that are in this top cluster that define it as informational. And just download the XLS, and so you can see the list of all the pages. But here are all the top pages. So all these blog pages. This is what I thought.
Are you saying that if I open this up, I should start from the very top and work my way down? Meaning like those 4 for the homepage, are they the most important ones to tackle?
No, this is not ordered by anything other than result cluster. So all it's doing is it's showing you a group, the top group of embedding cluster, right? The cluster of content in cluster 1 and 2 and 3. The one that defines number 1 is the one that has the most chunks of content, right? So it just grouped 3 groups that are similar to each other. And this group seems to be a lot of the blog pages, which is what I just scrolled through. So what's happening is because we've added so much blog content that is informational in nature, what it's done is it's forced the top embedding cluster of the characterization of Seleno law from an embeddings perspective is now being forced into an informational cloud, right? It's saying this site is mostly informational. You apply this prompt to the current content and say, here's an example of what it should look like. I copied this blog page, right? Our goal is we're going to apply this prompt to this blog page as an example, see what we can do here. So I'm going to take all the content here. I'm going to put it in ChatGPT, right? I'm going to add a couple spaces at the end here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the prompt. I'm going to add this right here. Okay. So I'm going to add this right here. All right. And then I'm going to get go. And it's going to take that content. Here's a redefined and SEO optimized version of the article with added legal insights, contextual references to Seleno law services, and stronger call to action elements. Here it is. This is the content. So this is the page right here, right? And so we can see this is a Wikipedia style article, right? It's just informational. So see how it injected this? It said, why speeding is different, but then down here it said, this is something our attorneys frequently pursue in court, right? So it converted it into a commercial or transactional language alongside the informational. So it pulls the reader back into, hey, this is something our attorneys or in court, or this is what we've done, or, it's something that's more commercial.
Yeah, that one's doing the other aspect that you had in there. I think it was legal service and contextuality or legal insights. Those, legal that's insights. What it's doing. Because it's the same, we get that same thing when we tell chat to write this in first person. Because now it's providing that legal insights. This is awesome. This has been the best call ever.
We effectively have to do this enough to each of these blog pages that when we recrawl the whole site, that when we are looking at the website embeddings, this cluster number 1 turns to be more transactional. Informational sites are getting hammered. We all know this now. And so the goal is, how do we not become an informational site? First of all, we didn't know that we were an informational site, so that's great. So Market Brew pointed this out very nicely, but then it also said, okay, these are the pages in your site that are making it informational. And then we take that and we go to those sites and apply that prompt that it was saying, this is what you would do to make it less informational, more commercial. So if we go into test new content, and we're going to paste in this stuff right here, and we're going to update. So what you're looking for, so this is the cluster analysis tab. So we pasted in this new content that ChatGPT just spit out to make it more commercial. And so what we should see as a verification that it is working is that cluster number 1 is transactional and not informational, and that the informational one is in cluster 2 or 3, right? So if we look at this, everything in the green is cluster number 1. So is that the transactional, and is that the other one is the informational, right? It does look like that's the case. But all I can tell you from a search engineer perspective, this is what the system is doing. That's how it's thinking, and why it's making Seleno law fall into this informational space. And even though non-informational parts of the site are fine, they're getting hurt because this new algorithm can look at what the overall site is and say, oh, it's not a commercial site, it's not a transactional site, it's mostly informational, and so we're gonna replace that with another site that's more commercial and transactional.
Wow.
Stop guessing what the search engines want. Brew. SEO software created by search engineers.